There's a moment, a split second, that decides everything. Someone challenges you. Someone mocks you. Someone questions your motives, your worth, your character. And in that moment, most people do the very thing that destroys them. They defend themselves. I didn't mean it. You misunderstood. That's not who I am. I swear that's not true. It feels reasonable. It feels righteous. But in truth, it is submission. Because to defend yourself is to kneel. It is to accept the frame that another man has the right to put you on trial. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this before anyone else. The man who explains himself lowers himself. The man who does not force the world to explain him. The law is simple. The one who defends himself admits weakness. The one who stays silent forces others to carry the burden of proof. Understand this. In life, perception is not a side effect, it is the battlefield itself. Once others see you flinch, they don't see innocence. They see weakness. They smell blood. Defending yourself does not convince the crowd. It shifts power away from you. It places you on someone else's stage, dancing to their script. The moment you justify yourself, you admit without realizing it that their judgment matters more than your presence. And once they have that, you've already lost. No enemy has ever been silenced by defense. No accuser has ever stopped because you explained yourself. Defenses never persuade. They only prolong your weakness. They show the world that you care more about being understood than being untouchable. But you must understand, clarity is for therapy. Control is for power. And power does not come from being understood. It comes from being feared, respected, and untouchable. When accusations come, the weak explain. The strong stay silent. Because silence is not emptiness, it is a mirror. It reflects the accusation back at the accuser. They say, "You're arrogant." You stare calmly. And suddenly the room wonders, was it arrogance? Or simply confidence too heavy for fragile egos? They say, "You're manipulative." You do not protest. And now the audience doubts who is truly manipulative, the accused or the accuser desperate for attention. This is the power of silence. You do not answer. You do not bend. And because you leave the void open, others rush to fill it with doubt of your accuser, not of you. Think of the most powerful men in history. They were rarely the loudest. They were rarely the ones constantly defending their reputations. No, their power came from stillness, from the ability to let others talk themselves into weakness while they themselves remained unreadable. Machiavelli knew words clarify, but they also expose. And the one who reveals nothing, who explains nothing, becomes a myth. And men fear myths more than truths. Power is not what you say. It is what you could say but choose not to. There's an even colder tactic. You don't just ignore the accusation, you turn it back. They say, "You're arrogant." You smile. Strange how confidence unsettles some people. They say, "You're manipulative." You reply, "Only those who can't be influenced think that." They say, "You're fake." You respond, "Everyone says that when they stop getting what they want." Notice these are not defenses. They are reversals. Suddenly, it is the accuser who looks insecure, emotional, unstable. They threw a sword at you, and you let them fall on it themselves. Machiavelli would call this the turn of the blade. Never meet force with defense. Let the attacker collapse on his own weapon. Imagine a room full of people. Someone throws shade. You always act like you know everything. What do most men do? They stutter, they laugh nervously, they explain themselves. But the Machiavellian does something else. He holds still. He lets the silence stretch. He lets the words hang like smoke in the air. And suddenly the room shifts. The attacker fidgets. The crowd wonders why you didn't react. You didn't defend yourself. And because of that, you became untouchable. Now, look at the modern battlefield, the internet. Every day, thousands of accusations are thrown, millions of jabs. Most people take the bait. They type long clarifications, emotional rants, desperate attempts to clear their names. But Machiavelli would laugh. Because in the court of public opinion, silence speaks guilt unless your silence commands fear. So instead of defending, distort. Someone calls you toxic. You don't explain. You post. People always call you dangerous when they can't control you. You didn't defend. You reframed. Now the accuser looks bitter. You look unshaken. And the crowd begins to believe you hold the higher ground. This is not a defense. This is narrative dominance. When accused, You have three tools. Silence. The default. Cold, unreadable, powerful. Let them choke on their own words. Deflection. Redirect the frame. Change the stage. Make them play defense instead. Precision cuts. Short, sharp phrases that end the game instantly. Examples. You're full of yourself. Confidence always bothers the insecure. You're fake. I don't owe you authenticity. You think you're better than everyone. No, I just don't think like everyone. These are not defenses. They are statements of dominance. When you refuse to defend yourself, something strange happens. Your enemies grow desperate. They expected a battle. Instead, they are punching at smoke. So they escalate. They exaggerate. They expose more of their insecurity. And the more they do, the more you rise in the eyes of others. Because power is not about proving yourself. It is about letting your enemies perform their own collapse. The world tells you to protect a good reputation. But a good reputation makes you soft, agreeable, and expected to please. What you need is not a good reputation, but a strong one. One that makes others cautious. One that makes them think twice before moving against you. And you build that not by defending yourself, but by refusing to, by letting mystery surround you, by letting silence speak in your place. The more misunderstood you are, the more unpredictable you become. And unpredictability is power. In time, silence turns into something greater. It becomes a presence. It becomes an aura. Your stillness itself begins to carry weight. Your lack of reaction feels like a decision. Your absence feels like dominance. At that point, you no longer win arguments. You end them before they start. You're no longer on trial. Others are judged by how they speak of you. This is the highest level, when your very existence is the defense. When you no longer need to explain, because your aura speaks louder than words ever could. Machiavelli would remind you of this. The most dangerous man is not the one who fights every accusation. It is the one who does not need to. The man who defends himself is already weak. The man who remains silent forces others to defend him. So from this point forward, do not live in defense. Live in definition. Let your silence define you. Let your presence define you. And let the world learn this truth. The one who never defends himself is untouchable.